My son's donor match came through after 3 years on the waiting list. I called Mom crying with relief. She said, "Can I call you back? Your sister's at the spa and I'm watching her dogs." I hung up. My son had his surgery, recovered fully. 6 months later, Mom called, asking for $4, $200. For a family emergency, I took a deep breath and said, they passed out the envelopes right after the burgers like it was some game show reveal. My mom had them in a little wicker basket each with a name in her neat handwriting. The cousins circled up on the lawn grass, stains already on their knees, sunscreen strewn across their noses. Cousin Summer, my sister Brittany sang, shaking a handful of bright blue lanyards with plastic sleeves on the end. Paul stood there holding his paper plate with a single strawberry left on it, trying to fit himself in the circle. He's 9. He watches everyone first. He waits his turn. Brittany handed out envelope after envelope. For you. And you. Don't lose them, guys. The other kids tore them open and squealed. Wild wave season passes. Lanyards, clipped water bottles stickered to match. A calendar printed in color with Wolfpack Wednesdays and slide contests written in bubble letters. It looked like a lot of time and a lot of money. There were 5 passes. Paul didn't get an envelope. He watched the others slip the lanyards over their heads and bounce. He was standing right next to Brittany. He had been right there the whole time. Did you forget me?" he asked, voice small. He didn't look at me. He studied the corner of his paper plate. Brittany did that pity face with her mouth like a sideways smile. "Oh, sweetie, we didn't think the water park would be safe for you. The germs and the sun, and with your whole kidney situation. We didn't want to get in trouble with your doctor." She looked at my mom for backup. Mom nodded, holding the basket. "For your safety, honey. Maybe next year." There was a spare lanyard still in her hand, blue, just like the others. She tucked it back into the basket like it was broken. Paul swallowed. "I'm cleared," he said, almost a whisper. "My doctor said I can swim now if I wear a shirt and we do sunscreen." No one answered him. Brittany was already laughing with her two about which slide was going to be theirs. My other nephew high-fived my mom. Someone yelled for ketchup. My hands shook. The back of my throat got tight. I could smell charcoal in those cheap paper napkins. I pictured the clearance letter folded in my purse, the one from the transplant team with the nurse's neat signature. I didn't explode. I pressed my palm to Paul's back. He stood very still, watching the blue lanyards bounce on other kids' chests like little flags saying who belonged. "My name is Isabel Jenkins. I'm 38. I live in Tacoma, Washington. I'm a payroll manager for a mid-sized industrial firm here in Tacoma. Spreadsheets, deadlines, WTWS. It's not glamorous, but I'm good with money, and I make sure people get paid on time. I'm a single mom. My son Paul is 9. He likes Shark's pencils with good erasers and drawing little comics in the margins of everything. Paul was 3 when we learned his kidneys were broken. It wasn't anyone's fault. It just happened. We managed with meds and appointments in those beige clinic chairs. When he was 6, he went on the transplant list. We waited 3 years. I stopped measuring time in birthdays and started measuring it in creatin' numbers and phone calls we didn't get. The night the call finally came, I was at the sink, rinsing a pan. "We have a donor for Paul," the coordinator said. I sat on the kitchen floor and cried. I called my mom because that's what your body does, even if your brain knows better. "Mom," I said, "they found a match." I could barely get it out. She said, "Can I call you back? Your sister's at the spa and I'm watching her dogs." And then started whispering, "Charlie, no," at something off the line. I hung up. I wiped my face on my sleeve. I called Richard, my boyfriend, who left work and met us at Seattle Children's. The surgery was at 3:00 a.m. I stared at vending machine coffee like it was holy water. The surgeon came out later and said words I'll never forget. It went well. Paul woke up, asking if Sharks dream. He kept every nurse's sticker like a medal. The money part started long before that phone call. After my dad died, my mom got overwhelmed with bills. I stepped in. I set up a family fund savings account at BCU under my name with her as an authorized user. It was meant for things like unexpected co-pays and a new washer when the old one dies. I put $150 in every Friday. Auto transfer labeled Friday groceries. Some months I added more. Then it crept. $1, $300 for the roof leak. No one saw until there was a brown map across their ceiling. $780 for Brittany's tires when she hit a curb she swore jumped. $24.50 for Mom's water heater. $600 for back-to-school clothes for all the kids last August. $120 here and there for sports fees. $300 for a birthday party deposit my sister forgot she had put on my card. It was always, "We'll pay you back when taxes come." Taxes never came. Last summer, I put down $3,600 on an Ocean Shores Hemisphere Cousins Week my mom had dreamed up. "You're the only one who can float the deposit," she said. I bought sand toys, I printed packing lists. Paul spiked a fever the day before, and the transplant team said absolutely not to travel. I ate a $500 cancellation fee. And then Brittany called from the beach house kitchen, music loud, and said, "We're here anyway. Since it's non-refundable, we'll take lots of videos for him." No one offered me a refund on the rest. Little slates stacked up like this for years. When Paul made a clay ornament with a wobbly G for Grandma, she left it in the box under the tree because it didn't match the theme. At Easter, Brittany handed him a bottle of sanitizer before she let him touch the puppy. One Thanksgiving, they set up a kid's table in the garage because there wasn't room inside, but it turned out it was only Paul sitting out there with a folding chair and a paper plate balanced on a Rubbermaid bin. I told myself they were worried about him. I told myself I understood. I didn't want to start fights. It was easier to send money and bring dessert and pretend that everything we were doing was normal family life. After Paul's surgery, I kept the family fund going even from the hospital, even when I was sleeping on a chair. $150 on Fridays. Auto pay on my mom's power bill. Zelle for just a little cheer when my sister said her husband might get laid off. I could do it, so I did it like a reflex. And still, 6 months after the hospital bracelets came off there, we were in my mom's backyard, sun in her eyes, and 5 blue lanyards. One boy standing without one. It wasn't just a water park. It never is. After the barbecue, I went home and pulled the clearance letter out of my purse. The transplant nurse had written it in clear, simple words. Paul may resume age-appropriate activities. Swimming permitted with sun protection and supervision. I underlined the parts I thought might worry people. I had planned to show it like proof, like permission. I looked at it under my lamp and felt something settle. They didn't need proof. They had already decided to exclude him before I could even unfold the paper. I opened my laptop and clicked through my bank statements. I'm a numbers person. It calms me. There it was. $150 every Friday. Gray lines on a white screen. $3,900 in Friday groceries since January. $600 for soccer turn. $210 vet when Brittany texted me a crying emoji and a picture of her dog in a cone. The Ocean Shores deposit sitting there like a bruise on last summer's line items. I did a quick sum on the side of a sheet of printer paper. $19,420 over 3 years. That wasn't counting birthday gifts or the Costco runs where my card mysteriously attached itself to their cart. What kept ringing in my head wasn't even the money. It was Paul's voice. "Did you forget me?" They had looked right past him. They had made a circle and left a space where he was supposed to go. A week later, 6 months almost to the day after Paul's surgery, my phone buzzed. It was my mom. I was in the kitchen packing Paul's lunch for camp. PB&J cut into triangles because he says it tastes better that way. "I hate to ask," she started, which is how she always starts when she's about to ask. "We have a family emergency. Your sister's brakes are gone like metal on metal, and Charlie needs surgery for a blockage, and my co-A for the new inhaler is due. We added it up, and it's $4,200. We'll pay you back by Christmas. Promise." I sliced the crusts off and lined them up like little brown logs. I took a breath. Mom," I said calm. "No." Silence, then a small disbelieving laugh. "What?" No," I said again. "I'm not sending any more money." "You're being dramatic," she snapped. "It's a family emergency." "I know," I said, because it was a family emergency, just not the one she meant. "I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of." She huffed. "Is this about the water park? You know we were thinking of his health. We were protecting him. My kid's transplant team cleared him. I had the letter with me. You still bought 5 passes." I could hear Charlie barking in the background. I could picture my mom's kitchen, the coaster with the lighthouse, the magnet with the emergency vet number. "I have to go," I said. "I'm busy." I hung up and set my phone face down. My hands didn't shake this time. I opened my banking app. The family fund sat there. Second line from the top. Balance $91,244. A scheduled transfer for Friday showed as pending. I hit cancel on the transfer. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" I clicked yes. Then I hit transfer funds. Move the $91,244 into Paul's savings, the one I'd labeled Paul Future, ending in 2331. I took a screenshot because I know myself, and I knew later I'd want to see it again. Then I did the thing I had been avoiding. I called the bank. "Hi," I said, when a woman named Alicia answered after 2 rounds of hold music that sounded like cheap jazz. "I'd like to close a savings account." She asked me security questions. My first pet's name, the last 4 of my social. She asked if there were any automatic payments tied to it. And no, I said, not anymore. She read the warning. Once this account is closed, it cannot be reopened. Any linked cards will stop working. Do you understand? I do. Click, click. Her keyboard tapping. Okay, she said. It's done. You'll get a confirmation email in the next 10 minutes. The email arrived even before I hung up. Subject line account closure confirmation. A PDF with my name on it. I saved it into a folder on my desktop called Home next to a scan of Paul's hospital bracelet and his first day of school vaccination records. I texted the family group chat one sentence. Effective today, the family fund is closed. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and cut Paul's sandwich into triangles. I slid a note into his lunchbox. Proud of you, love, Mom. My phone lit up like the pinball machine when I took it off. Do Not Disturb. 23 missed calls, 8 voicemails, a string of texts from Brittany in varying fonts of angry. Are you serious right now? You know we need that money for Mom. Everything is about you and your sick kid. I can't believe you would punish us for trying to keep him safe. Mom tried the guilt classic. I did everything for you when you were little. Then your grandfather would be so disappointed. Richard watched me scroll. He handed me a glass of water and a slice of cold pizza. Eat, he said. Breathe. They showed up that evening. I saw Brittany's SUV first idling at the curb, Charlie's head in the back window. My mom came up the walk with a plastic folder, the kind you buy for school supplies stuffed with papers like receipts would convince me. I'm not opening the door, I said to Richard. But I did. Old habits. He stood behind me like a wall, not saying anything. Just there. Can we come in? Mom asked, chin tight. We can talk here, I said. Brittany started immediately. You're really going to let us sink because you're mad about some passes. We didn't include him for his own good. Do you want him to get sick again? Because I don't. It wasn't for his own good, I said. It was easier for you. God listened to you, she scoffed. Richard's got you thinking you're better than us. Richard's eyebrows went up. He still didn't speak. Mom pushed the folder at me. Bill's estimates a printed screenshot of her inhaler Coe that looked like it could have been mocked up on a meme generator. We just need the $4.200 to get through, she said softly. You're good with money. This is what families do. I'm not your backup bank. I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of. Brittany rolled her eyes so hard I could practically hear them. He's part of the family. No, I said. You said maybe next year. Mom sniffed. What about Thanksgiving? You're going to boycott that too. I'm not boycotting anything, I said. I'm building something that includes my son. Fine, Brittany snapped. Don't come crying to us when you need help. When I needed help, I called from the hospital parking lot and you were watching dogs. They sputtered. They cycled through mad, then sad, then mad again. Brittany tried one more time. So you're just going to let the car go without brakes? I think you have choices, I said. Sell the Seahawks tickets, call the bank, add a payment plan, ask the actual dog owner to pay for her dog. I shrugged. I'm not your answer anymore. They left in a flurry. The folder stayed in my hands. I shut the door and put it on the hall table. Later, I flipped through it. Some bills were real, some were creative. I put it back in its plastic and set it under the account closure confirmation in my folder. Then I texted my Aunt Dee, my dad's sister, because she always kept it real. I didn't even get a chance to say what happened. She texted back, I heard. I saw what they did with those passes. Proud of you. Want to take Paul to the science center next weekend? I'll bring my grandson. Paul came into the hallway, hair damped from his bath. Are we in trouble? He asked. No, I said. We're okay. He nodded. He went to the fridge to stick up his latest drawing, a blue shark with a crooked smile between our grocery list and a permission slip. He used 2 magnets, made sure the corners were straight, and patted it like it might fall. The first hot day in July, I bought 2-day passes to Wild Waves. No group chat, no basket. Just me and Paul in the car with a cooler and a bag of sunscreen. He sat in the passenger seat with his clearance letter folded in his pocket like a superhero carrying his own backstory. We went on a Wednesday when it was less crowded. He wore a rash guard and a big floppy hat that made him look like a small adventurer. He held my hand as we walked in wristbands, snapping as they put them on. He didn't say anything about the blue lanyards we didn't have. He laughed on the lazy river. He dunked under once, came up blinking, and wiped water from his eyes with the back of his hand like a grown-up man for 1 second, and then a little boy again the next. I cried behind my sunglasses where he couldn't see. On his birthday in August, we set 2 extra chairs on the patio just in case. Mom's and Brittany's. They stayed empty. Aunt Dee came with her grandson and a box of cupcakes with too much frosting. Our neighbors' kids chased each other through the sprinkler. Richard hung fairy lights even though it was still light out when we cut the cake. Paul opened a present from Dee, a sketchbook with thick paper and a metal tin of real drawing pencils. He drew a picture after cake right there at the picnic table. A water slide, a stick mom with big sunglasses, a stick boy with a floppy hat. He wrote me and Mom at waves at the top in block letters and handed it to me like it was a report card. I put it on the fridge that night. I moved the magnet so it wouldn't curl. After everyone left, I sat at the kitchen table. The account closure confirmation sat in a little pile next to my laptop under the hospital bracelet and the clearance letter, paper evidence of choices. I slid them all into a clear sleeve and put them in our fireproof box. Protection matters in different ways. We don't make big speeches around here. No dramatic finales. Just decisions and follow through. I water the basil on the windowsill. I check the pool bag for sunscreen. I text Aunt Dee a thank you. I ignore a new message from an unsaved number that starts with, "So can we talk about Thanksgiving?" I chose my kid. That was the emergency. In conclusion, we can say that Phoebe's story reveals that financial generosity without emotional reciprocity is not family. It's a transaction dressed as love. She demonstrated that protecting a child sometimes means withdrawing from systems that harm him quietly. Her strength lies not in confrontation, but in clarity. Real belonging cannot be purchased or earned through sacrifice. When a person finally aligns their actions with their values, they don't lose family. They discover where it actually exists. 4 friendly tips. 1. Generosity has limits. Giving without boundaries breeds entitlement, not gratitude. 2. Exclusion dressed as care is still exclusion. Know the difference. 3. Quiet decisions beat loud arguments. Actions speak where words get ignored. 4. Build your own table. If they keep leaving a chair empty, stop asking for a seat.